This is a WKYT podcast.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to another edition of Conversations with Victor and Andrea. Andrea, you look so excited.
I'm always excited to be with you, Victor Puente.
Get a little closer to that microphone. We're still figuring this thing out. Or push it closer to you.
See, I'm always nervous because I'm a loud person. I don't want to...
Well, that's why I'm over here working the levels. Don't worry.
Okay,
Just like an old school DJ. We're figuring it out. I'm trying something new with the editing this time so that I don't have to mix as much. So I've got both channels just going into the same thing.
I love it.
Hopefully it doesn't ruin it. We'll figure it out.
We'll know soon enough.
Oh, yeah, it's true. Well, somebody will let us know.
You want to say what I was doing when you came in today?
What were you doing?
What
Yes. You were looking for T-shirts for the Backstreet Boys concert that we're going to next week. And so I was like, hey, I'm very excited for you. I probably won't need one, but
I asked if he wanted matching, and he said no. I was so disappointed.
Well, I would have to get a matching one for my wife also. So,
well, obviously.
Yeah. But she's not. I don't think she's as big a fan, so she probably doesn't need a shirt. She might feel like that was money that just didn't need to be.
Our plus ones are both going for us.
Yes, they're definitely just along for the ride. I think they will probably have more fun watching us than they will the show.
Yes.
But I'm sure the show's going to be great too. I'm excited about it.
You know what I have not done?
What's
I
that?
haven't listened to the new CD.
You haven't?
No.
It's got I'd say 4 really good songs on it.
Yeah.
And then it's got some songs on it.
And then it's got some songs.
Yes.
Oh.
But there are some that I really like.
How dare you throw shade?
I'm not throwing shade. They're just, I don't know.
Some songs are better than others.
Some songs are better than others. And that's the thing with buying an album.
Every CD.
So there's this podcast I enjoy called Hit Parade where they go through different songs, how they became hits. And they had a really good episode on when music companies had kind of the war against the single. This was in the 90s, or maybe late 80s. Anyway, basically, Too Legit to Quit came out, or Can't Touch This, and the the record companies realized, if we just pull all the singles out, so they pulled all the singles off the shelf, which forced people to buy the entire album if they wanted.
Which cost more money.
Because, listen up, kids, back in the day, you couldn't just get your songs for free on YouTube or the internet. You basically had to either catch them on the radio and hope to record it as it was playing, or go out and buy the actual album. Yeah, so they realized by doing that. So then the album became a huge seller, but at the same time, the single barely charted because they didn't sell any singles. Now today that wouldn't be an issue because of YouTube plays and all this other stuff. But so they essentially forced people to have to buy the entire album. And as a result, some albums that had 1 or 2 really good songs and then just a bunch of garbage, it upset people. They're like, why am I buying this entire album?
All I want is this.
I've got this 4 Non-Blondes album, and I just want to listen to What's Going On, and now I've got to listen to this whole thing. Well, that's not you did the different What's Going On. Anyway.
Sorry.
So and then they think that the backlash was Napster. And as a result, people just were like, fine, I just want to be able to get this 1 or 2 songs. And it kind of destroyed the music industry.
Were you ever scared you were going to get arrested?
Oh, yeah. I was like, oh, man, I'm going to get the letter one of these days. They're going to break down my door.
I would be so nervous. I remember ripping an M&M, burning a CD at my friend Brittany's house. And I was so scared that someone was going to break in.
And now I'm an adult and can actually buy music again.
Bust down the door to the basement.
And now there's just no need to because, you got Pandora and Spotify and everything. And you
True.
just listen to everything on demand. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I know what you're talking about. Oh, man, I hope I don't get a virus.
I know. I was scared. But I think there was 1 or 2 people that they really threw the book at, and they ended up in jail for years.
Well, that's the thing.
There were cautionary tales.
Yeah, Lars Ulrich from Metallica.
Yes.
He was right. He may have been a jerk about it, and they may have alienated their fans and upset people, but he told everyone, he said, no, this is going to destroy the music industry. And, it obviously didn't destroy it. People are still making money, but it definitely changed it. Yeah.
It's very different.
They make their money performing and touring now and less on their sales. So.
Wow, what a tangent.
Speaking of tangents,
digressions would have been a better name for our podcast.
We have a few tangents today. There's obviously a Bachelorette tangent that
obviously
you and our guest, Travis Leader, go on. Travis is responsible for a lot of what you see on WKYT.com and our Facebook page and our Twitter and Instagram and stuff like that. And so we thought it'd be interesting to talk to him about it because if you're listening to a podcast, chances are you're either doing it through our website or through your app.
Yep.
Okay, Andrew,
Oh,
That's what you got to say? Yep. Okay.
That's all I got. No, I'm just kidding. But he actually transitioned from on-air to online coverage, which, we kind of talk about, could that be the future for news, period, where people have transitioned from watching us to just reading our coverage online. So it's interesting to look at what the landscape could be down the line. Obviously, we're not, we can't read the future, but...
Well, definitely for younger people, a lot of them, they want their information, their news kind of at their fingertips and, when they want it. So it's not that uncommon to see people, just hit up the website instead of waiting to watch something on TV.
Yeah, let's get into it. Here is our latest conversation.
Travis, for some reason, I don't actually know. Is your last name Leader or Letter?
Leader.
Leader.
Yep.
Leader.
Well, how often do I say Travis's full name?
I think we've started the podcast.
I guess we did. I've already hit the
This is our coworker. What's your last name again?
Who are you?
If you ask me to write it down, I could write it. How often do I say Travis's full name while I'm talking to him?
Rarely.
Exactly.
There are some people, though, that you always call them by their first and last name.
Like Bill Bryant.
Dick Gabriel.
That's true.
That's
for
true.
obvious reasons.
But it has a good ring to it,
Yeah, that's true.
Travis Leader?
Travis Leader sounds good.
Yeah, but, most people actually get my last name wrong.
Yeah.
I would think so.
It's usually Letter.
It's missing an A.
That's
It
why
is,
I was
it
asking
is.
a question.
But it's like Lederhosen.
Oh, my gosh.
Well, Travis, welcome to the podcast. You can tell how formal things are already.
Yes.
So Travis is responsible for our website. So and at this point, I think, almost as many people are visiting the website as they are watching us. So, a lot of the stuff that you see goes through Travis's hands.
Millions of people.
Right.
It's crazy what, a station in Lexington, Kentucky can do as far as online reach.
It really is. So let's go back to the beginning before we get into web stuff specifically. So growing up, what did you think you wanted to do?
I actually wanted to be a broadcaster, which is kind of weird. I would watch the people on TV. I was always a big sports fan, and I would watch the people that would do, the play-by-play Sports Center or, post-game shows, stuff like that. And I was like, I think I'd want to do that. And then all of a sudden, puberty hit. I actually got a broadcaster's voice. I was like, hey, maybe this was my calling, I grew up in Alabama, and I'm a big Alabama fan. Well, it just turned out that Alabama had a broadcasting school, so I was like, I think all the stars are aligning. So I was like, you know what? I think I'm going to pursue it. I didn't change my major in college, any of that. I just went straight forward on the path and started my career as a reporter, actually.
Sidebar, how do you feel about this past Bachelorette?
Oh, Hannah was amazing, I thought. I mean, she was
I did not know this is where we were gonna
Alabama
go.
Hannah!
Yes,
Okay.
And she's from the Tuscaloosa area, and she was always part of the pageant circuit. And as you probably know, Andrea, the pageant circuit in Alabama is a big deal.
Honey, all southern states love them some pageants now.
I mean, Alabama and Mississippi are like, the pageant capitals of America. So we love our beauty pageant queens.
She's my favorite, I think, maybe my favorite Bachelorette ever. Her season was great.
See, and I'll have to admit, I only watched half the season of The Bachelorette. It was just too much for me, and it was,
You have a lot of reality shows you keep up with, though.
I do, and I just couldn't keep going. But I just can only hope that Hannah found true love.
She didn't.
She didn't.
She did not.
Well, that sounds like every season of The Bachelorette, then.
thought she was
Rude.
gonna go
Number
on
one, rude.
I thought she was going to go on a date with that guy afterwards or
Well,
something.
he's literally dating Gigi Hadid now, so
Oh, well,
that's a slap in the face.
that's a little bit of an
What
upgrade,
happened
I
to
guess.
Pilot Pete?
Oh, he's going to be the Bachelor. Hasn't been officially announced, so spoiler alert. I'm pretty sure I was supposed to say that before I said the
Ooh.
spoiler.
That's all right.
But yeah, Pilot Pete. Everybody knows. You can't avoid spoilers anymore. Okay.
That's true.
I was going to say,
Back
normally
on-
I'm the one who takes us off the rails, but Andrea, you just
I'm sorry
grabbed
he
his
said
hand and dove
Alabama,
head first.
and my first thought is Alabama Hannah.
So was your first job? So your first job was reporting?
It was in Tuscaloosa, actually. The University of Alabama is really interesting because it's not its own television market. It's in the Birmingham market. But the University of Alabama actually owns a commercial television station with, local newscasts with professional staff members. But there's also college students behind the scenes and on air that do the reporting. So you'll see someone who's a University of Alabama student that's, reporting on, the biggest story of the day that's happening in the city, which is, an opportunity that really helped me out where I was actually able to get real life experience while still taking classes
And
in
that's
college.
the only way to learn.
Yeah.
Because
It
I
is.
didn't understand anything while I was in school, But now it all makes sense.
Like, I didn't even put my GPA on my resumes, because everyone cares about what you were able to do in the field, what you have experience with. It's not about, how well you did in the classroom when it comes to broadcasting. Obviously, it matters. You should always do well in college, but when I think employers are looking at what you are able to do, I don't think they're looking at that GPA.
Well, sometimes, your grades don't reflect how comfortable you can be on camera or how natural you can be on camera, because some people just have it and some people just don't, no matter how smart they are. So this is one of those careers where sometimes that just doesn't translate or correlate to whether you'll be good or not on air. So
I actually heard
totally
someone say, that, a 4.0 GPA is almost a red flag for them, because it's like,
not relatable.
Was this person actually, doing all the internships and work or not? Or were they more of just, your
Studying,
book person studying, because, honestly.
No red flags on my resume.
They looked at Andrea, well, this is great.
She'll be real
Really
relatable.
fast.
But, I double majored in political science. I challenged myself somewhat in school. And,
See, that's the second part. Garrett also had political science.
A lot of people do that.
Yeah.
Well, I thought I was going to do sports because that was my passion. And when I realized when I was taking classes, everyone was wanting to do sports.
Seriously.
Either you had everyone wanting to be the next Aaron Andrews or everyone wanting to be the next big play-by-play guy. And, I realized not as many people are doing the news path. And news still interests me, not as much as sports, but news does interest me. Why don't I do that and make myself more marketable? And I think it was the right call.
And there are so many more positions available.
If you look at the sports, that sports
team is
staff,
small.
3 people, or as a reporting staff,
Yeah, and Lexington's one of the few markets out there, I think, where sports is still part of the fabric of the market with the University of Kentucky here. And that's, this is one of the few markets where, you can really hammer home sports and, it really resonates with the viewers because Big Blue Nation is a very large nation.
Oh, it is. It is. So how did you get switched over to web?
So I took a job in Huntsville after I worked in Tuscaloosa for about 3 years. And there is a big technology scene up in Huntsville. I guess some people know about it, but Huntsville, built the Saturn V rocket that put man on the moon. It's got a big, giant arsenal that handles missile defense for our country. It's got every single defense technology company you can think of. It's got like most engineers per capita for a city of its size. So you're talking about, I know that was a weird noise. I don't know if that got picked up or not.
I tooted. Just kidding. No, I didn't.
Anyways.
All right, let me mark that down to edit that out.
We all know he's going to leave that in. I did not, people.
Sure, it was a weird chair noise.
Yes.
Anyway, so you're talking about Tuscaloosa?
Yes, and then moving to Huntsville,
Yes.
it was, very science and technology heavy. So I had a general manager that, wanted to do something that differentiated Huntsville's television coverage, from the standard operating procedure. So he's like, let's create a technology website and let's have someone that's solely dedicated to not only doing on-air reports for that, but managing that website to report on this industry that's the lifeblood of our city. And when he did that, there wasn't anyone to fill the position for a while. I was working general assignment, covering your basic news still. And then they came to me and said, hey, why don't you do this? And I was like, sure, let's try something new. It was like, I think I had done enough murders and, city council meetings and, your average spot news.
And car wrecks. And
Yeah, I always liked it, but it was a chance to do something different. And there's always, if people ever know me for a long period of time, they'll know I'll just get bored of doing something and I want to do something new or I want to try something different. So that was my first transition where I was doing half on air, half online. Well, eventually there were some changes and my company decided we're going to put less of a focus on that niche. And I was like, okay, well, I kind of like the digital side more than the on-air side at this point. Can I just work digital? And, my bosses were like, yeah, well, let's give it a shot. And I became a digital content manager there. And that's what I did for about a year before I came to Lexington.
So I think a lot of people in this industry, myself included, as far as being the people in the newsroom, it's like we focus on air first, and that's a mindset that we're going to have to start changing soon. How important is our website?
I treat the website as, a constant rundown where, if we have breaking news that happens in our 6 o'clock news, let's say, we're going to try to get that into the show as soon as possible. That's how I feel about the web. I'm not going to get breaking news and be like, well, my next schedule on Facebook says, let's put that at 8:15. If it happened at 6, I want it up at 6:01. Of course, you got to write it. You got to find a picture. You got to get the information, make sure the information's right. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times we think we got to get it first. We got to get it first. Getting it right is always the most important thing to do. But I still want to get it up there first, and I want to be able to capitalize on giving information to the public, reliable information as quick as possible, because that brings the biggest dividends to us. If we're the ones that are first in getting something out to the public, we become that trusted source that we can rely on them to tell us something first when it's happening that's newsworthy. I think the pipeline explosion in Lincoln County was probably a key example. I was...
Oh, you came in. You don't know. Travis saved the day that
I wouldn't
morning.
say that, but...
Well, the shows were so much better because we had somebody that was focusing on the web instead of our producers dividing their attention between the show and the web, which happens a lot, and that's just a reality. But the fact that you were there and our web coverage was great. Like, we had, I think, over 100 viewer photos and videos, so you could see so many angles and from different vantage points how big the explosion looked. It was like, I really was proud that morning of our coverage, both on air and online. And that was something I referenced on air quite a bit because I knew people would want to know more about it. I'm like, go to the web, you can see more video. Like, it was great.
We were inundated with viewer photos that day, and it was like, we got to do something with this. And I think you were the one that presented all those viewer photos, and it was just, visually, obviously it was so tragic, but at the same time, visually, it was just so stunning to see what happened.
Right.
Because I had never seen that before. Maybe like on national news at some point, refinery issues or something like that, but I had never seen it in my home market where something that crazy happened. And it was like, to peel back the curtain a little bit, I know you've interviewed Kelsey and Noah before on this podcast. They were the only two producers. They are in charge of 2.5 hours of news that day. They have no way to be able to also do all the web stuff that's needed,
the website, yeah.
Make the calls that are needed to try to get all the information. They needed that able body. And of course, I'm a night owl. I work, I guess, as close to a normal shift as you can in news.
Right.
But there are definitely times whenever, it's 7:30, 8 o'clock, and Travis is still just hanging around. And
I always feel like there's something to be done. Like yesterday, I was like, there's a couple more things I need to do, but I need to leave.
So you coming in.
You have to sometimes for your sanity.
You do.
And it was his birthday. There was the night of his birthday that he came in,
yes.
And I think honestly that was the reason he was still awake.
Yes, and and I wasn't drinking. I didn't celebrate my birthday. It was a weeknight, but I was just up at 1 o'clock in the morning, and then all of a sudden I'm seeing all this stuff like, did y'all see some kind of plane crash or something exploded in Lincoln County? And I'm like, what in the world?
A lot of people thought it was a plane crash because a lot of planes fly over that area.
Yep, and it was just like, okay, something obviously happened. And then, I started looking on Twitter and I started sending emails, which was the telltale sign.
Kelsey and Noah were like, get your butt in here.
Travis is still awake.
Help.
Time to call him in.
SOS.
I was just going to say, it kind of shows the difficulties of your job, too, because like Andrea and I can write a story. Andrea and I can, we can do part of that. But there's so much. So you have to be able to do that part of our job. But then you also have this other whole part that a lot of us just haven't been able to figure out, as far as how to format things.
It's also like that was the first time we literally just got this new way to get photos submitted to us on the website, and this was
great timing.
This was literally the first time we used it. It's called Burst, and you can find it on our website if you just search for submitting photos and video. And it's like, hey, let's use this new tool. Let's put it out on Facebook. Let's say, hey, send us your photos here. Because if you send your photos here, they're going to be on our website. We're going to use them on air, and it's going to improve not only our web content, but our on-air content. And that was really such a key role in how we, I think, did such an amazing job covering that breaking news event. And it was obviously a tragic event. One person lost their life and several people lost their homes. But it was something that we were watching on the national morning shows that same morning. And it was stuff that we were getting, first.
Our coverage.
Yes, and hours later you're seeing it on, we saw it on the Today Show. I don't know if GMA or CBS This Morning had it. I just saw it on the Today Show, but it was an impactful story.
Yeah, it was. So one thing, obviously this industry is always changing. It's not the same as it was 20 years ago. One thing I worry about sometimes is the web, just because it's become so dominant and so many people get their news that way. Do you think this is something that's going to threaten on air at some point, like kind of take over?
It's weird. You always talk about how the changing landscape, and newspapers are the big culprit here. They're the ones that are literally a dying industry for the most part. A lot have shifted to online coverage. Maybe try online subscriptions. We don't do that. It's free. It's ad supported, obviously. We like you going on our website because there's ads there, and our clients are happy when more people are on our website. So there is a profit incentive there. But at the same time, commercials for local newscasts are really the bread and butter for how we are able to continue operating as a station. So the on-air aspect is still so paramount compared to online. I can say that as the online person, that our on-air product is still the cash cow for local news. And I would be lying if I wasn't concerned about what the overall trends are. Are people, in our age range, going home and watching the 6 o'clock news?
Not like they used to.
Not like they used to, probably. And, I would think that we have a older audience compared to, let's say people watching The Bachelorette. I think The Bachelorette's
that is timeless. Everyone loves it. Universal audience.
But
ABC hits their key demo on the Bachelorette. And, I think local news, though, and I've noticed this, one of the big things that I've been focusing on is Instagram. Because our demos in Instagram are much younger than on Facebook or Twitter. And it's like, So we are reaching out to these people. We are giving them some sort of content that they like, because I'm seeing it in the demographics, the users. Oh, we're hitting that key demo that we would love to have on air. These people are watching our video clips on our articles of these stories that we are putting on air. So there is a demand for what we are producing, whether it's through broadcast television or through, your cable provider. I don't know if that's going to be the case in 20 years.
I was going to say, a younger audience doesn't consume things the way our parents did. They have it, they'll look it up on their phone. They want to watch it whenever they want to watch it right now, basically. And they're like, well, I'm not going to wait until the news comes on to figure that out, because it's going to be available somewhere. Which is where our website comes in.
Exactly.
I'm always holding my phone, though, as I'm watching. So if there's something I want to look up more, I'll just look it up on my phone as I'm still kind of listening to something else. I think we all multitask a lot.
Yes.
At least that's what I'm hoping.
I think that's for a lot of people, They put the news on, and then they do their morning routine, they do their stuff.
Right.
And it's like, and that's what I was going to say. Like, we've always formatted our newscasts, in the morning to, we're probably going to get them for 15 minutes.
Right.
Let's hit the high points. We got to have weather every 15 minutes. We got to have time and temp. We got to have all this stuff. And when you look at how people are viewing news in the evening now, most of them do have their cell phone in their hand. Right. They're probably just as distracted in the afternoon as they were in the morning, which is maybe for different reasons. But I think you're starting to see the same viewing habits. But, to go back to how we're watching, I still have an antenna, but that's because I don't want to pay for cable.
Same. Which is, I think, good for local news.
It is. I hope more antenna usage goes up. Some things that, vinyl records were presumed dead, but then people started appreciating that more. Maybe
Vintage.
Maybe people start appreciating over-the-air television because they only have to put down a $10 investment on an indoor antenna and get all their local channels, and it's just an extra resource they can have.
I've seen a lot of people cut cords, and that's kind of what they do. They go, okay, I've got Netflix and Hulu, and then for local channels, I've got my antenna.
Yeah.
And especially with the digital signal now, that's better than the cable signal anyway.
Yeah, and plus I get to watch all my NFL football games, and there's still some other network programs. I had CBS on last night for a show, so I mean, there's still a demand, at least on my perspective, for over-the-air television, and I hope that stays around. And being a CBS affiliate, we are a NFL. We carry the NFL and stuff like that. Things that I think are still very attractive to people my age. So to be able to have our newscasts on a platform like that, I think is a benefit for us.
What do you think are some of the key factors that make a story go viral? I'm always intrigued. Are you good at calling it? Like, which stories are going to take off?
I don't bat 1,000 by any stretch. There's times where I'm like, oh, this story, how can this story not do well on
and it
Facebook?
Does nothing.
And it just falls flat on its face. And I just go, gosh, I struck out on that one. But you're going to do that, though. As long as you hit more than you miss, it's good. There's just, especially when you live in a market for an extended period of time, what I thought would work, let's say my first couple months here has changed a lot compared to, this past year, I guess you would say.
You learn the area.
You learn the area, and you learn what people are interested in. There's things that in every market, is always going to do well. There's a missing child. Remember the McGoffin County toddler?
Oh, yeah.
I mean, that was a huge deal. That would be a huge deal no matter where you were in the country. And they got national attention. Savannah Spurlock, obviously, that was something that gained national attention. You're talking about a woman, a mother
yeah,
who, just disappeared one night, and there was...
That could have been my daughter. That could have been, yeah.
And another example, Malia Davis, which wasn't in our market, but, a national story. I would post any major update on Malia Davis because it's just a little girl, and, that hits the emotions of people. And, I'm not trying to, trigger certain emotions, but that's the content that they're looking for. They want to read about it, and that's
something
what
that
interests
resonates
them.
with what they know.
Exactly. So, yesterday, I saw there was a shooting, that killed 2 people at a cabin in Pigeon Forge. Not in our market. That's a place that everyone vacations at.
Oh, yeah.
And so 2 people found dead at a cabin in Pigeon Forge. I know that people are going to be like, what in the world
We had that in web
happened?
training, and that was the one thing Jim looked up at. You're absolutely right.
So
Yeah, we
Jim
had that
did
in our
look up?
Yeah, so we have a web trending segment at the end of our 6:00 newscast in the mornings, and Kristen goes through them quickly and just kind of the top stories. And she mentioned the Pigeon Forge, and that was the one thing that Jim looked up at.
Because he goes to Pigeon Forge.
He is a good gauge for me. I can tell which stories are good when Jim perks up, because he rarely listens to us.
He's just learned to tune you all out at this point.
He's good at it.
He's just
but I was
looking
like,
at Dorian radar loop
Right.
over and over again to see when
Exactly,
it makes
but-
landfall.
I know it's a good story when it gets his attention. If there's a great sound bite and he all of a sudden looks up, it's like, ooh, we need to play that up. You got to notice those things.
Another thing we've been doing, just to pivot to weather with Jim, in the mornings, we do Facebook Live discussions twice a day, Monday through Friday. You can find it on Facebook Live, shameless plug. The weather's been really nice here lately. It's not the most eventful weather. It's great weather. I think it's weather that everyone here in Kentucky likes. It's not that hard
It's not fun to talk about, though.
It's not that hard to talk about, and it's not
Right.
in depth to talk about. So we've been focusing most of our weather discussions on Dorian the last few days, and more people are watching our Facebook Lives because we're talking about Dorian. Why? Because one, hurricanes just interest people. It's this slow-moving, destructive object that the path changes frequently. It's
Right. Florida was supposed to be gone and barely touched it.
It's a constantly developing story, and everyone's always hyped up looking at that next forecast track because, it could mean the difference between life and death for some people. Yeah. But also, something else I learned being in Lexington, a lot of people vacation in Myrtle Beach here. So it was going up to that area. So people are like, that's where I vacation. Maybe I need to cancel my plans. They know
those spots, yeah.
And they're familiar with those spots. In Alabama, it would be Destin, down on the Florida Gulf Coast. That would be a place where, or Panama City. Those are places where people frequently vacation. So, when you use those kind of tools to try to find out what would people be interested in, vacation destinations, even though it's not in Kentucky, it's where people from Kentucky go often.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, this has been a fun talk. Travis, we're bumping up against our time here. I don't want to keep you out of the newsroom too much because I know that you stay incredibly busy. I guess my other question, though, do you have any interest in, now that you've done so much web stuff, of going back to the reporting side?
back on air?
No.
I still think we need to pull you out.
See, I think
every
he still
now
could
and
do
then
it. That's the thing.
during a newscast, or you could record something and just be like, "Here's what's hot on the web right now." I think it would be great.
This is one thing about me. I have always, battled anxiety.
Same.
And performance anxiety. When I would, that was probably my biggest hurdle as a reporter, was to get over all the anxiousness that I would have before a live shot, before anything that I would do, because I would just get so anxious and I would not be myself. I would look back at my on-air reports and I'm like, goodness, Travis, could you just calm down for 10 seconds before the package rolls? I mean, come on. And
it's like you watch other people and you're like, oh, that looks so easy.
It looks so natural.
Yeah.
I think I transitioned to something that I have more of a talent in. I thought I was a good reporter as far as reporting the news. I don't know if I could be a Victor Puente or Andrea Walker, though, and be smooth on air like you two.
Just fake it till you make it. That's what I've done.
There you go.
See, I had the same thing. Me singing, totally different. I was petrified to sing. I can talk to anyone, but if you make me sing by myself in a group, I'm fine, love it. But that's why pageants were always so stressful for me, is because I had to do talent, and I was a good singer, but I was terrified, and I couldn't move. I would be frozen on stage. So I totally understand. Like, if you watch me sing and then talk, I'm so animated, and then I was just frozen solid. No performance aspect in my singing. It was horrible.
I was just curious because
I was terrified.
I was going to say, one of the good things I like about this place is if you have an interest in doing something and you let management know this is something I'd be, they're pretty good about letting people kind of step into other roles, try things out. And so that's why I was just curious. I didn't know if you'd ever considered that.
It's kind of been joked about with our news director. Oh, Travis, maybe we'll stick you on the camera for this or something like that. I mean, I've literally done almost everything in news. Like, I've even punched up cameras, in the director chair if I needed to for something. I've even done the weather before. I'm not a meteorologist, but I've done a weathercast for a live newscast before. So, yeah, so I've done basically everything, but I've, in my 8+ years of working in broadcast, I know what I'm better at than what I'm not better at. And I think digital's the way to go for me.
Maybe if we could do the whole thing, you know how when you're trying to get a soundbite with a kid, you step way back and don't let them know that you're filming. You know what I mean? And just playing with them, and then all of a sudden start rolling without them knowing. That's what we're gonna have
Somebody
to do.
Somebody just walks up to Travis. Travis just described me. What's going on with the story? And there's a camera in the corner.
Secret camera up here.
Yeah. I may start doing some stuff with Jim Caldwell. That's a tease for something where I may read the viewer questions while he answers questions for weather chats on Fridays. But
Godspeed.
That's not. Right. Don't book it yet. But that's something we're talking about as a possible idea.
We will keep an eye out with that. Travis, if people want to get in touch with you on social media, I guess the best way is just send WKYT Facebook a message.
Yeah, I'm the one that's probably going to read it. So all the haters out there, I read all your hate. Don't worry about it. And most of it, I kind of laugh at, and sometimes we get substantive criticism.
That's true.
And you know what? It's always good to read every person's feedback, whether you agree with them or not. A lot of times they will point out something. It's like, you know what? That person has a really good point, or they show a correction. I am prone to make mistakes. I write a lot every day, and there's times where I make mistakes, and I appreciate every viewer's feedback. So yeah, reach out to us on Facebook or Twitter. We appreciate it.
All right. Well, thanks, Travis.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Andrea, how was that?
It was good. I really like Travis. He and I have a shared love of reality television.
Yes, I heard that.
Which is why immediately I was like, what do you think of The Bachelorette? Well, he has strong feelings about all reality TV. He's a big Brother fan. That's his favorite.
Wow. I like it. I'm someone who will get in and out of shows. I don't watch it but I will just randomly pick a season where it's like, oh, I happen to catch the first episode.
With reality TV, you don't have to be invested every season.
You go, well, I happen to catch the first episode. All right, I'm in.
Right.
And so that's what happens. Sometimes America's Got Talent. Sometimes The Voice. Mandy and I like that. I'd say about every 5th Voice season, we'll watch the entire thing. Well,
you get so sucked in. Mm-hmm. I get so emotional. I will cry. I cried during several episodes of The Bachelorette this year.
Okay, well, that's the thing. Oh, also, I have breaking news, Andrea. So for those of you who don't know, Andrea is having a housewarming party this weekend. Da, da, da. All right, how prepared are you?
Oh, so unprepared.
All right, good. Well, you're going to have one less guest, because I forgot that the Miss Powell County pageant is Saturday night, and I am the MC. So
Are you serious?
I'm serious. I chose to tell you on the podcast so you couldn't yell at me too much because everyone would hear it.
Victor! You
I'm
have
sorry.
to be there.
No, I mean, I literally at the end last year, whenever the event was over, they said, "Oh, so you want to do this again next year?" And I said, "Sure."
Find someone else.
And so that's Saturday.
Find someone else.
You know, I enjoy going back home, getting to do stuff in Powell County, so I can't really tell them no. I'm
Yes,
sorry.
you can. Yes, you can.
Who else is going to do it?
Okay, you should know somebody because you know everybody in Powell County.
I don't know anybody else who's on TV who's from Powell County.
They don't have to be on TV to MC a pageant. Trust me. I've been to many a pageant.
You emceed one the other night for Jim Caldwell, right?
Yes, I did. No, you are coming.
I'm sorry. We'll figure it out.
Victor, you have to be there.
Maybe we'll come down after
You're
the
supposed
after
to
the
bring
pageant.
games.
Well, you know what? I can drop some off at Kelsey's place, and she can bring them with you. With her.
Victor!
I'm sorry. I really am. I forgot that I'd already made this commitment, and
Well, this is going to be the worst party ever.
I went to the people of Powell County. Wow. I wish I could just put a picture of you looking like incredulous here. You'll have more parties.
No, I won't. Never
Oh.
again after this.
Wow.
Because two of my best friends, I thought, at this station are not going to be there. You and Jim Caldwell.
What's
who's
Jim
going
doing?
camping.
Oh.
What is wrong with you two?
Well, mine was a previous commitment I made to my hometown, and his is apparently sleeping in
Which
the
you
woods.
cared about so much since you didn't even remember till today.
I remembered. I just didn't realize that the days overlapped. That's the problem. So, well, Andrew, you know I love you, and I'm sorry.
Literally, go ask a teacher to come in and do it. Like, go ask the guy at the gas station to go do it. It would be really entertaining.
It might be entertaining, but it wouldn't bring the
Who's
gravitas.
the craziest person in Powell County you can think of?
I mean, it might. Well, it was probably me before I left, but I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there are a lot of characters in Powell County.
Why don't you just get your brother to do it and no one will know the difference?
They will definitely know the difference since he has a giant mountain man beard and he's about 6 inches taller than me.
No, I don't think they'll notice.
Okay, they probably won't. I'll just put him in one of my suits.
Seriously, just, yes.
All right. Well, so Andrea, do you have a favorite thing this week?
Nope.
I'm sorry I dropped this on you during the podcast.
Sure don't.
Well,
Know what my least favorite thing is right now.
all right. That's cool. Well, I was already, because Lauren Minder's little boy's turned 1, so I knew we were going to have to split that. We're going to go to
Going to that party?
And then come. Well, I don't know at this point. We're going to figure it out what the logistics are because I need to be in Powell County kind of early, so we'll still figure it out.
You're not going.
Well, I guess we'll know next week whether or not what I attended. So, Andrea, thanks for hanging out this week on a very awkward episode of Conversations. Bye. Andrea, you got to do the out.
You're going to have to cut it from a different episode.
All right, I'll do it for you. Bye.